You believe you know? It's a prophet kin, Brian, that is, until the entire church community is rendered speechless by his ex-girlfriend's disclosure of receipts. Allegations of manipulation, screenshots, and late-night videos are all on the table. Yes, she is speaking the truth this time and isn't remaining silent. And trust me, folks aren't accustomed to hearing this word from him. Stay tuned because what she reveals has the potential to destroy his entire platform. Another tremor has just struck the realm of modern ministry, and this time it is quite personal. The prophet, once renowned for his fervent sermons and brave forecasts, Brian Carn is currently embroiled in a romantic controversy that could ruin his carefully manicured reputation. After remaining silent for months while silently watching, waiting, and aching, his ex-girlfriend has now spoken up. And she's not just telling her story. Her disclosure of private messages, videos, and unsettling facts has left his fans divided, with his detractors claiming, "We knew it." The layers behind the Instagram image, the church pulpit, and the designer clothes you constantly see him wearing are being thoroughly revealed in today's film. From the psychological suffering she alleges Brian inflicted to the covert affair she says was taking place directly in front of her. Even the personal recordings that raise questions about the man's conduct in private against his public persona. She makes one specific admission that halts the internet in its tracks. Just when you think you've heard everything, you will be astounded by what she says about his actual treatment of women and how additional women are reportedly starting to come out behind the scenes. But this is more than just a messy drama. This delves more into the perilous boundary between spiritual calling and emotional manipulation, as well as faith control, charisma. It's going to get serious. According to Prophet Brian K's ex, whose identity will help to safeguard her safety, it all began in the spotlight but was kept fully hidden, just like so many church romances. Early in 2023, the two started to take things seriously. She claims that after meeting through ministry circles, they soon developed what she described as a spiritually intense bond to the public eye. Prophet K persisted in leading revivals around the globe, giving predictions in crowded churches and conducting live streams that attracted thousands of viewers. However, she claims that a much more complicated and emotional story was unfolding behind closed doors, where he informed her that God had sent her to him and that she was a part of his heavenly destiny. In a now viral live stream, she disclosed that what he was actually doing was emotionally manipulating her by using the Bible as a tool. She claimed that he would frequently send her texts laden with scripture, ask her to join him in private prayer sessions, and discuss marriage and starting a family in the future. None of those pledges were reflected in his actions behind the scenes. According to her, Prophet K would spiritual language and intense love bombing, calling her his kingdom partner one minute and ghosting her the next. However, this is where things start to become even more complicated. She claims that she initially kept quiet due to his reputation. Who would trust me more than Brian K? She questioned her followers, but eventually it was impossible to ignore the contradictions. She started to see peculiar red flags, such as several phones, abrupt, unexpected excursions, evasive justifications, and odd remarks from women that appeared beneath his posts on social media. Then came the turning point in everything. She chose to look into it one evening after seeing yet another mysterious Instagram comment from a woman calling him her man of God. She claims that what she found was just the beginning of a devastating reality. They obviously don't want the public to know, though, that she wasn't the only one. We then move on to the footage that she actually released and what they purportedly discovered about Brian K's secret life. This is the point in the narrative that everything starts to go wrong, from voicemails that have been preserved to screen captures of FaceTime conversations. When Brian Carn's ex finally lost it after what she called an emotional roller coaster, she didn't just walk away quietly. Instead, she came with receipts in a bombshell. The Instagram live screen is now captured and published again on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. She carried with her what every influencer fears most, and she sat down, clearly moved but passionately determined to speak her truth. Voice notes, call logs, screenshots, and late-night video clips were stored. She began her live stream with a powerful statement. "I stayed silent out of respect, but I'm done protecting someone who never once protected me." After that, she pressed the share screen button and accessed the gallery on her phone. The first video is a FaceTime screen capture from 2 a.m. that has gone viral. She has a late-night conversation with Brian, clearly. The timestamp indicates to 16 a.m., and there he is, lying on a hotel bed, shirtless, with his eyes barely open, talking casually about how tired he is from a ministry trip. He said he was by himself in Dallas for a revival, and they said he had no other way to contact her. However, another source then revealed a completely different story. They claimed that Iman didn't come for reconciliation, but rather to establish control. They said that he came to deliver a message, and that's just when things began to change, drastically. A question started to circulate. Was this all prearranged from the start? Even people watching from the comfort of their screens found that moment to be extremely intimate and tragically real, which is what made it unforgettable. As Tiana exited the gathering with tears streaming down her face, many others were moved. There were no shouted noises, and others kept rewinding the video of Iman standing motionless and silently glancing around the room, unsure whether to follow her or go. The gulf that suddenly opened up between them yelled louder than any dispute could, and the quiet between them spoke louder than any physical scene could. Some pointed out that Tiana's voice broke from pure sadness rather than rage. At that point, experts in mental health began to weigh in. A well-known internet therapist broke down the event, stating that it was about years of suppressed emotional grief coming to the surface, and that it had nothing to do with birthday cake or decorations. As the comments continued to pour in, people started looking through Tiana's most recent posts. Her tone changed from updates about motherhood to more introspective, lengthy captions, which many noted. "Sometimes peace comes when you stop fighting to be understood," she wrote in one of her posts. That line struck a totally new chord following the birthday incident. Has her emotional threshold already been reached? Was this the precise moment when things changed subtly but significantly? Then another twist appeared. There was a brief party. Video uploaded by someone? Tiana can be heard whispering to a friend in the video. He didn't even seek permission to go. That one sentence completely changed the course of the narrative. It wasn't merely an unannounced interruption. It seemed like a total betrayal of trust. The internet was abruptly split. Team Iman and Team Tiana were more than just hashtags. They developed into actual communities, with members fervently supporting one another. Others stated this: "Is every co-parent's worst fear? Trying to give your child a peaceful, joyful moment while the past barges in unannounced." Others thought that even though Iman's manner of expressing it wasn't the best, his heart was most likely in the right place. What had begun as a private, intimate conversation between two parents had now descended into a public drama. Every word, every glance, every blink is examined online. Videos were everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It became very evident as many sobbed, vented, and even reenacted the incident using their own interpretations. This was no longer a birthday celebration. It's concerned to people attempting to overcome unresolved emotional wounds and their past. Bereavement under public scrutiny, and believe me, things were only going to get messier from here on out. Rumors and whispers began to spread behind closed doors. According to some reports, a man had been attempting to contact Tiana for weeks, but had been met with silence. Others said that he only learned about the birthday plans via social media, and that he was distraught to be excluded. Even then, supporters couldn't resist asking, if that were true, why would he show up without an invitation, especially knowing that things might go south? Some even accused him of trying to control the story by having the entire incident unfold. In public or of seeking attention, suddenly everyone was talking about every aspect of the story. The most absurd aspect was that, although the truth, according to people close to Tiana, she had devoted weeks to organizing every aspect of the party, from the smallest considerate touches to the customized decor. Giving her daughter a wonderful day wasn't the only goal. Perhaps she also wanted to show herself that she could remain strong and grounded despite everything she had been through. However, everything fell apart the moment I showed up without warning. One acquaintance claimed that it seemed as though everything she had put so much effort into creating that day had been completely undone in an instant. A brand new video clip that was covertly filmed from the back corner of the venue appeared just as the online discussion was beginning to slow down. It captured Eamon's entrance from a completely different angle, and what it showed completely altered the tone of the conversation. Contrary to what many had assumed, I didn't burst into the room at this angle. Instead, he halted at the doorway, clearly uncertain or apprehensive. Doi stayed there for a while, seemingly waiting for a sign or wishing in silence that someone would tell him it was safe to enter. Fans were split almost immediately once more. Some thought the story was changed by this fresh footage. Others maintained that nothing had changed, but the harm had already been done. However, there was a surprise turn of events. Additionally, the video captured a quiet conversation between two close attendees. Did he say he messaged her? One of them murmured. Silently, the other said, yeah, but weeks ago she blocked him. The internet was thrown into yet another whirlwind by that brief time. People were now inquiring as to whether he had been locked out entirely. Was this merely the version of events he wanted the public to accept? Or was this truly his last desperate attempt to demonstrate his concern? What had initially appeared to be an untidy, pointless incursion now appeared to be a heartbreaking, if awkward, attempt at reconciliation. Tiana remained silent. No cryptic captions, no public remarks, just silence. However, people close to her started making hints that she might eventually come forth with her truth, either in the form of a documentary-style disclosure or a podcast sit-down with a meaningful message. What should we do if the anointing starts to conceal evil rather than convict it? Why do so many churches around the country still defend strong men while keeping wounded women silent? Churches and ministries are having private conversations behind closed doors. While some have begun to turn away from Brian K., others are still standing up for him under the pretext of grace. But the individuals who are monitoring every move are the younger believers. Many are now considering staying or leaving because they are reading between the lines. The harm has already been done to followers in the areas of finances and, most significantly, faith. Online measurements show that Brian K.'s following has significantly decreased. Negative comments are now flooding his YouTube videos. And at least one significant speaking engagement has apparently been canceled from a national gospel tour. Rumors are circulating that his church board has entered emergency sessions. And other web sources indicate that a few pastors he formerly mentored have now quietly severed their relations. The fact that other women now assert they were told about him years ago, but chose not to come forward out of fear of being rejected, discredited, or even spiritually isolated makes much more devastating. Even though no formal statement has been made, the harm extends well beyond the digital realm, which is profound, emotional, and spiritual. One of the women who came out as the initial ex-girlfriend just concluded her live show with a depressing message. He claimed that I was insane and that no one would ever believe me. But now that the truth is known, I no longer feel terrified. Another woman made a devastating remark, but I chose not to call him out. I voiced my concerns to prevent others from experiencing the same misunderstanding that I had, and now here we are. Growing evidence from multiple women, a prophet whose words once rocked nations is now facing the total collapse of reputation. And the church community is being forced to face some painful realities about what we've permitted to happen behind the pulpit in the name of gifting. Cause this scandal is far more significant than just Brian K. It concerns power, secrecy, and what transpires when a man invokes God's name to further his personal agenda. El query we leave you with. If a prophet is unable to be open about brokenness, can he ever effectively guide others? Now is the moment to speak up if this tale moved you, taught you something, or inspired you. Post a comment below. Brian K. Resign. For more unique, in-depth analyses and updates on the untold tales transforming the gospel and celebrity worlds, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with someone who needs to hear it if you still think that the truth is more important than a title. This has been a difficult, essential, and emotional conversation, and trust me, there will be more.